Oh,
Got it.
yeah. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Trail Talk. I'm pretty excited to have Josh Crowley here with us. Josh is from Marlow. He has a studio where he makes pottery and such called Missing Bristle Studio. Is that right?
That's right.
So we're super glad you decided to join us today on Trail Talk. We are live from the Chisholm Trail Heritage Center in Duncan, Oklahoma. And yeah, we're a smidge late today, but you know what? It was a good reason. Josh has a brand new business and you don't turn customers away.
No, I don't. Usually I go a little bit the opposite direction. I let them stay a little bit too long sometimes.
Well, you know what? We are not going to say that that is bad at all. That was a good thing, a good problem to have today. So he's here though, right?
That's right.
That's right. So, are you from Marlow originally or from this area, Josh?
Yeah, it's actually Conway, not Crowley. But,
oh, I'm so sorry.
No,
oh
fine.
my gosh.
I just want to make sure all the Conways don't get offended.
Right, right, exactly. Josh Conway.
Yeah, but no, I'm born and raised in Marlow. Family's from Marlow, Sterling, Lawton area, you know.
Oh, okay.
So from around here for as long as I can remember.
Right. So have you always done kind of?
No.
Or, I mean, would you consider yourself an artisan?
Yes.
Okay, so you have.
Yes, I went to school for art.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm got a BFA in art with emphasis in graphic design. Went to the oil field, chased it like everybody around here does.
Right.
Got tired of getting laid off, so started a business. And we'd done this paint your own pottery stuff with the family a few times.
Right.
And thought that's a lot of fun. And I was trying to write children's books, do illustrations for children's books and stuff like that. And I think the wife got tired of me being at home all the time. And she said, you go find something to do in the meantime. So I went out and we started the paint your own pottery thing to kind of tie in while I was sitting there drawing and doodling and all that stuff. Right. And while I was doing this kind of pottery, pouring my own molds, you know, learning how to do that and making my own molds and stuff like that.
Right.
I happened to run into my old art teacher, Mr. Hazel. I'm sure you'll know him. But I asked him if he had any pottery wheels, you know, that he would sell me. And he said, sure, I'll sell you a pottery wheel. So I bought a pottery wheel and watched some YouTube videos and learned how to do pottery.
So you didn't really learn about pottery when you were in college?
No, they didn't have any kind of pottery. We had a sculpture class, but it was more of a it was a forged, you know, out of bronze and stuff like bronze and stuff like that. So I never really did anything with clay besides the, you know, the plasticine clay and stuff like that.
So is the forging a little more like making molds like that?
Yeah, because you're doing sand cast, you know, sand cast for the bronze and stuff like that, which it's basically the same thing. It's just you're not letting it cool, you're letting it evaporate. So
oh, okay. So I see I'm not super familiar with some of this type of art. So I'm very interested. I might ask you a million questions about this.
I know everybody's on this hot cocoa trip right now, the cocoa bombs. You know,
right. Yes.
Chocolate bombs.
Yes.
It's exactly the same thing.
Really?
Yeah. So you're pouring the chocolate in the mold. You're letting it cool a little bit and you're dumping the extra out. That's exactly what you do here. You pour the clay into the mold. You let it set for a certain amount of time and then you pour it out. And then you let it set for a little bit longer and then you open the mold up and you got your product.
Wow. Okay. So this kind of just family doing something together thing has spun off into this business, and then you decided to broaden your horizons. This is, I mean, this is the common thread amongst all artists that I interview. Everybody starts with something and then they just continue to push themselves and try something new. I love that thing about artists so much.
Well, I've stopped with the children's book. I can say that.
Oh, really?
Because
I kind of hate to hear that.
Well, I'm not a wordsmith, and trying to get into the book industry is like trying to get into the movies. So
I happen to know someone who's written a few children's books.
It's tough.
It's
tough.
Yeah, she does the writing and someone else has done the art for her in the past. So
Well, I kind of branched off of that because I just found that the tactile nature of the clay.
It's okay.
still-
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The tactile nature of the clay is just me. I love doing stuff with my hands, and I've learned so many little, like all artists do, so many little craft things along the way, of how to do different things that, like with the oil field, they taught me, CNC machines and programming and stuff
Right,
like that.
right,
Well, I
uh-huh.
bought myself or actually my wife bought me a 3D printer, and that's how I get the custom mugs and stuff like I've done for Viridian and
Right.
stuff like that, is we 3D print their logos,
Uh-huh.
and then we can stamp it into the wet clay and then put it on the mugs and
Oh, that
customize
is,
it that way.
how
So,
cool.
but so it ties a little bit of all my different.
So how long have you
things.
been in business?
We started last November.
So just celebrated a year.
Yeah. And I didn't really start doing the pottery, the throwing on the wheel until, I want to say, really didn't start till sometime in the summer. This past summer.
So this is, are you finding that this is just a really natural thing for
Yeah, I think
you?
it has come easy. I've enjoyed it so much that it's been easy to sit there for hours and hours and hours to do it.
That's what I was just thinking about. I mean,
And
like
I'm
how
sitting
long
there at
does
the
it take
business.
to
Throw a mug now?
To throw a mug.
I can throw a mug in a few minutes. I mean.
Really?
Yeah.
And when
doesn't
you
take
first
long.
started?
First started, it was probably 10-15 minutes to get it up,
Mhm.
but to actually first figure out how to center the clay to get it to center took a little bit longer.
Right.
I still struggle with that some, but
I'm telling you, the clay, so my kids did some things like that at
Yeah.
school, and they would just say, the teacher would just come over and just whack the whole thing off and just say, go do a pinch pot or whatever, because and I watched that, and it's kind of mesmerizing to watch the clay, the lump spin and just grow as you do things with your hands. So besides mugs, what else have you been able to create on the wheel?
Well, I've actually got a dinner set down at the Duncan Arts Guild. Their little.
The Chisholm Trail Arts Council?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Mhm.
Chisholm Trail Arts Council, their gallery that they have down there.
Yes.
I've got something in there for their holiday art show, and it's a dinner set. So I got the charger, the big charger plate, and then the dinner plate and a salad plate and a bowl and a coffee mug and just a cup. So I've got the whole spread set out down there, and I think I'm charging $200 or something like that for a place
For a
setting.
whole set.
But I've started something new, which is the leather series. So what I do is I take leather tools
Mhm.
and I stamp the patterns into the clay and make it look just like somebody made it out of leather.
Right. And that does
So-
look
Yep.
just like leather. So
Mhm.
you had to toy with the finish and
The glaze,
everything.
yeah.
The glaze,
There's a
yeah.
glaze that
to-
I can use, which this mug's the same way, the leather handle on there.
Oh, yeah, I
So-
see that. Very nice. So do you just like get an idea for something new and then just kind of chase it?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, these are all just kind of ideas that I've had and I've chased. So this was the first leather series. I
Mhm.
don't have any of the tooling work or anything, but then Thanksgiving come up, so I come up with the pumpkin.
Right, which is super cute. I don't know if y'all can see, if you look at the inside, you can see the pumpkin shape basically. And then like this is the little like thing would be up there with the stem,
Yeah.
the little vine. It's so cute. I mean, this is great. Oh, and is this your
That's my
your
stamp,
stamp?
yeah, my
So
brand.
it's marked. These will be collector's items someday, y'all. I'm sure. That is really very cool.
And then my wife loves trees and stuff like that. So that's where this one came from, which
Uh-huh.
it's just kind of make it look like vines wrapping around. And then everybody's about these prints, the leopard prints and
Right, the
all that.
animal
So
print
this
things.
glaze is kind of just tied into that.
Right, yeah.
So,
And that's
like a little
really,
cow print.
yeah, there you go. that is so, they're so unique.
Yep.
And that glaze feels, I thought it was gonna feel, but it's a little smoother than what this to
The
me.
clay is, yeah.
Uh-huh, the clay, yeah. Okay, so kind of take us through the process, because it's more than just painting some stuff on it and all that, because you have to, do you have a kiln?
I have 2 kilns.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay. So just kind of go through the process.
Through the throwing process.
Yeah.
So, I mean, depending on what you're making, you weigh out your clay to a certain amount. So like the 10-inch or the 12-ounce mugs,
Mhm.
standard 12-ounce mug usually uses about 1 pound and 8 ounces of clay
Yeah.
to
Okay.
get this height and the size that you need to make a mug.
Hmm.
And then for like Kokendorf, I've done some custom mugs for Kokendorf, and they wanted the 16 ounce, for their beers and stuff like
Right. Like
So-
a stein.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
that. So it's almost 2 pounds of clay to
Right.
make their stein. And whenever you first throw them, it's way oversized. Like the mug will look almost a third bigger than this whenever
Uh-huh.
you're throwing it, but then it shrinks down when it's drying and then the kiln and stuff like that. So you got to take into account all that stuff and trial and error, lots of error. But
Yeah.
lots
I
of
mean,
error.
I'm imagining 2 pounds of clay,
Yeah,
and trying to,
it's a little difficult. So then once it gets,
and what color is it? Whenever you start out, what color is the clay? Do you have different
it's-
colors? Or
yeah,
they-
there's different colors of clay. This is a buff, or
Mhm.
not a buff, sorry. This is a buff. This is a buff. So this
Okay,
color-
and that's just the natural color of the clay right
Right.
there.
And
Okay.
then this is a chocolate, so it's a darker,
Oh, okay. Yeah,
darker clay.
yeah.
And then we have a speckled one, which, this handle.
Oh, okay. So
this
that,
handle,
uh-huh.
I don't know if you can see the speckle in there or
Yeah,
not.
it's trying to, it's,
Not
Yeah.
focusing for us.
I'm trying to get that.
It's a little bit light there, but
Oh, well.
it has cute little dots on
It
it.
has little dots in it, and I didn't have
Yeah.
to do anything. So I just left the clay alone because it's
That
just
is, that's a
natural clay.
very cool looking.
Oh,
Yeah, oh
there we
yeah,
go.
she's got it there now. Yeah, you can see
Can you
it.
see 'em?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You sure can.
So we do that. So once it gets to a leather hard stage, we can attach the handle to it, and we can attach the custom logo if we're doing a custom logo,
Mm-hmm.
or the little nut, the little screws that I put on there.
Are those real?
No, they're not real. That's just
Oh.
clay.
Oh,
So-
do you make those?
Yeah, so I made
Huh.
a mold basically for my screws. I just took a screw and pressed it into clay and then baked it.
Uh-huh.
And now I have something I can just push wet clay into to make a little screw head. So.
Wow.
little-
Now, I mean, it's such a great little touch though.
Yep.
It really finishes that
little
logo
things, and
patch there. This is really cool clay.
yeah,
That just,
they call it spectacular.
that's a good name for it.
So,
Okay, so you get to the leather hard stage,
mhm.
and is that, you just figure that out by feel? Do you just kind of?
Yeah, it's just kind of when it's not tacky anymore,
Mhm.
whenever it kind of goes from the tacky stage, then you're ready. When it's not sticky anymore,
Mhm.
then it's ready to do something.
And so then you put the little logo or and the
Mhm.
hand, and do you
And the
just,
handle.
you just press those in onto the clay? Is that how it stays?
Yeah, pretty much. It depending on if it's still on the wet side of it, you can just stick it to it
Mm-hmm.
and it won't fall off. But if it's a little bit dry, then you do have to add a little bit of slip, which is just watered down clay.
Okay.
You just stick it to it with that, use it as a glue,
Mm-hmm.
basically, and it sticks it to it. And then the handles, so depending on what kind of handle I'm making, which will be either the leather one or
Mhm.
this one, I have made a die out of my 3D printer that I put inside of an old caulking gun, and I just squirt the handles out of clay.
Oh, that,
That way
because
it's the same every time.
I went to a thing one time and we were, making
Mhm.
some kind of cups, mug kind of things. And I found that making a handle that wasn't too tiny,
Yeah,
so you couldn't pick it up, was really hard.
yeah.
That was really hard to do.
And that's kind of my 2 variations. So I went with this leather handle, and then I went to this leather handle. So this is the size that I do now. This was my error or my
Oh,
failure.
because it's thin.
It's just kind of too thin. It just doesn't feel
Yeah, this is a nice thick,
sturdy.
sturdy. Yeah, that's a good word for it. Sturdy handle. And it does look like you just like
Riveted
that in there. I don't know. Can you see the little rivet looks? Did you just do that with some glaze?
The back of a pencil.
And you just.
I just used the back of a pencil and stuck it in there, and then
Where
the lead is in
yes,
there, it kind of leaves a little circle.
Nice. It could, because it looks like it's just attached up in there. That is really cool. So I'm gonna pick this one up.
That's the same thing.
Yeah,
I did with
this.
the Viridian was the pencil too.
Oh, right. Yeah. With where you did the attached things there. Yeah. Yeah, that it does feel, although, I mean, it seems very secure.
Yeah, it
but
just feels a little.
a little thin, a little bit thin. But this one, I mean, this one is very thin, but it feels
I think it's
like
because it's smaller and your fingers actually touch the mug.
the whole thing. Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
Just all these little
Listen, look
things.
at him. He knows all these things just by touch, and you've only been doing this for a few months.
Yeah, well, learning how to build stuff with the manufacturing has helped me
Right.
figure things out. And I didn't bring my notebook, but I have a notebook and I've done little sketches all in my notebook of all the things that I've tried and the sizes and how much size I could get out of a certain amount of clay and all the little things. So I've figured out along the way.
I am kind of, my mind is blown. Imagining how many hours
A lot.
you had to spend just trying to figure it out.
Yeah. Well, starting a new business, you got a lot of time to just sitting around,
Right,
because you
right,
don't
yeah.
have the constant customers coming in and bugging you all the time. So I would
He
just,
didn't mean that in a negative way at all.
no, not at all. But I just go up there and just sit there and at the wheel, and my back would tell me when it was time to get up.
Yeah,
Time to get up and go have dinner or something like that.
Right.
It's a lot of fun.
Wow. So, okay, so you make these place settings,
Mhm.
and do you make plates on the wheel? Or how do you make a
No, I
plate?
don't make the plate on the wheel, which I've tried doing it on the wheel, and I've made a few on the wheel, but it's not the look that I wanted. So what I did was took an old pie pan, an old metal pie pan, and just draped the clay over the top of it. Okay. And that's my charger, and I left extra around the edge to make it look like it was just a piece of leather laying out there
Right,
with jagged edges, or not jagged, but
right,
uneven,
uneven.
yeah. And then flipped the pie plate over and put another slab of clay on the inside of the pie plate. So it's, a little bit smaller. And then whenever they dry, they shrink a little bit. So it steps down. And then I took one of my old ceramic molds that I used, and it had a bottom in it, and the mold was wore out, but the bottom was still fine, and it was about the size I needed, and I just draped it over it
For the smaller
for the
plate?
smaller little salad plate.
Wow.
And then I threw the bowl on the wheel, and it looked like a clay bowl, so I had to do something to make it look like leather. So I just cut it, the four sides, just straight down after I made the bowl, and then just kind of folded them over each other to make it look like it was leather.
Those leather, yes, I was just thinking last year, at Christmas, so we like draw names and you make something for whoever you get, and my brother-in-law does leather work, and he helped my daughter-in-law make one of those square leather things. And so I know exactly what you're talking about.
So just manipulate the clay like I would manipulate a piece of leather, and
I am so impressed with this.
it's a lot of fun.
This is very cool. Okay, so you get we jumped ahead. I lost track. So okay, so you put your embellishments on your mug, and then what happens to it? Because you have to do something besides just
I let it dry, and then after it's completely bone dry, I'll go and make sure the bottoms are nice and smooth and no little squished out junk, kind of smooth it up and neaten it up.
Do you have a tool that you use for that, or you use
just a little scratching thing, kind of like a fingernail file or something like that. Just
Uh-huh.
little tools that you can scratch with, like
Right.
dental tool type things,
Mm-hmm.
and clean it all up and then bake it in the kiln at 04 cone, which is a low fire.
Oh,
So you're
okay.
basically just making it hard so it's not so brittle. Because at that point, you're just playing with dry mud. So any little knock
Right.
or anything, it's just gonna fall apart.
Right.
So put it in the kiln, bake it, and then you pull it back out and you decide what color you want to do. I mean. if you
So
want it to
did the
be
different colored clays react differently with the different colored glazes?
A little bit, it does. Some of the darker clays make your stuff a little bit darker looking,
Mm-hmm.
but not as dramatic as you would think. I mean, if you were making your own glazes, then yeah, it's gonna be a little bit more along the lines of scientifically making sure your clay fits your glaze.
Mm-hmm.
Because if your glaze shrinks more than your clay shrinks, then it'll crack and bust off on you. So your clay and your glaze gotta chemically shrink at the same rate at the
Oh.
heat. And yeah, there's a lot
of science.
there's a lot of science to it. So
And
I
so-
use commercial glazes. I don't make my
Okay.
own.
Right,
So they've already
right.
done all the scientific work for me.
So are there different grades that you would purchase depending on how you're, like what temperature or the length of time you're
baking in
baking
it?
it? Uh-huh.
No, not necessarily. You just know that some glazes are going to be more mobile than other glazes, which means they're going to move more. So the drippy looking
Right,
stuff,
right.
that's the more mobile glazes. So, just to stay up at the top, so it doesn't run all the way off your pot.
Does
stuff like that.
does it run while you're glazing it, or does it do it when it gets
When it's
hot?
getting fired. So you have no
Ah,
control over it. So you may come out of the kiln and you may have this stuck to the kiln shelf and the bottom.
Oh.
Yeah. So you just gotta, and that's why I put these rounded lips on the bottom of my
Uh-huh.
cups so that the glaze has somewhere to kind of stop. And that's why you'll see a lot of
Okay.
potters, they'll put those ridges in their cups and
Yes.
stuff like that. And
Yes.
that's just kind of slow the glaze down as it's.
Interesting.
Yeah.
See, the things you think are like little designs, make it,
Yeah.
give it some texture or something. It really has a purpose.
Yeah,
That's
sometimes.
sometimes,
Yeah.
right. Sometimes. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So is this piece glazed? This, you said this was glazed?
Yep, that's glaze. It's
So-
just a matte glaze.
Okay, I was about to ask
Mhm.
because it's not shiny like this is.
Right.
But do you put both glazes on at the same time?
Mhm.
Hmm.
And this
But
one
they
has
kinda stay
little
put.
crystals in it. So like little rocks, that's what all the little brown spots are, actually little mineral crystals that whenever they're heated up, they burst and melt and cause the color.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's fun, isn't
And we
it?
have some low fire stuff that does the same thing too. So
Wow. So when you were doing the plates and things, I mean, is it the exact same process? Does something bigger have to stay in there longer than like a mug?
the size doesn't really matter as far as baking it in the kiln.
Mhm.
No, it's just the kiln gets up to temperature and then it shuts off and comes back down. So
Hmm.
I've got a kind of automatic kiln that kind of just ramps itself up slowly until it reaches temperature and then it shuts off and starts cooling back down. And then I have a manual one that I have to go out there and turn it from low to high, low to medium to high.
Right.
So you just let it sit in there a few hours, but at each stage, depending on what you're doing.
So it's a fairly long process.
Oh,
then,
yeah,
I'm
it's
guessing.
gonna take 12 hours to get it up to temperature. And then it'll cool off, and then it's gonna take you another 12 to 16 hours for it to cool off enough for you to get in there and touch it.
Wow. And then how long does it cook after you glaze it? Or is that with the glaze?
That's either process.
Oh, okay. But
Yeah.
so they both take that long?
Yeah. I mean, the high fire may take a few more hours to get up to temperature just because it's got to get hotter. So,
Wow.
Yep.
So good thing you can throw one of these in just a few minutes because you
Yeah.
got 2 days worth of cooking to do on it then,
Yep.
don't you?
yep.
Wow.
And it's the same process for the low fire stuff too. I've got to go through the same.
So talk about that. Now, you make the molds?
Some of them
for
I've
these?
gotten a lot of them, like I don't know, you see them on Facebook all the time. People have these ceramic molds that they want to get rid of, or at least I do. Maybe that's just because.
Yeah, that's your feed.
Yeah, that's my
Because that's
feed.
what you're.
That's what
you
I'm searching.
search.
But, people have them in their garage and they
Huh.
were their moms or their grandmas and they just want to get rid of them. And so I'll go pick them up, and 90% of them I can't use, but there may be one or two that I can use. And
Right.
so I'll take them, and these are some molds that I'd gotten off somebody through
Mhm.
Facebook or something like that, some Santa Clauses and trees and stuff like that. And then some Southwest stuff, because people love Southwest stuff around here.
Right.
So,
Right.
but it's basically the same. You're going to put it in there and you're going to take it out. And then these have, so, I've said you got to clean up the stuff you
The
throw.
imperfections on
Yeah,
it.
and
Uh-huh.
you got to clean up this stuff too, because they'll have little seams on them from the mold,
Oh,
the two-piece
right,
mold. So you
right.
clean up the seams and then you put it in the kiln and bake it just like you would the other stuff. But after that, it just goes on the shelf. So it's just white like this, ready to be painted by somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is one that I had a customer paint, or a customer came in and painted one of our truck party night.
Right.
And
Right. Yeah, that's very cute too.
yeah, so.
Okay, so after it's painted, does that paint have to be baked or anything, or is
Yep,
that?
it's a
it
glaze,
does?
just
Oh,
like,
it's-
just like this stuff. It's just a lower fire glaze.
So does it run as much?
No, there's little additives that you can paint over the top of it if you want it to make it look like stoneware stuff, or high
Okay.
fire stuff.
Uh-huh.
You can add to it, but most of the time it's just a low fire, because most of it's decorative, it's
Right. It's not
not
food grade or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah.
But we do have some cups and mugs and bowls and stuff like that that you can paint and fire too,
Mm-hmm.
and it's low fire. It's just not as durable as the stoneware.
But you use the same kiln for both
Mhm.
kinds? It's just adjusting the temperature?
Yep, there's little, they call pyrometric cones, and it's just a piece of clay,
Mhm.
basically in the shape of a cone. And you put that in your kiln, and there's a little mechanism that whenever the kiln gets to a certain temperature, the cone starts melting, starts sagging, and it shuts the kiln off. So
Huh.
some thing that they figured out back in
Wow.
the 60s. It works.
Wow. That's impressive that they
Yeah.
still use it, that
Oh, yeah.
they haven't come up
Yeah.
with a better way
My
to do.
kiln was manufactured in 1963, I think is the one that I'm using,
Wow.
something like that. It's a Paragon kiln that I picked up at a garage sale.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Wow. Those things are well made then, aren't they? My goodness. So did you say that, do you make the material? What did you call that, bisque?
The bisque,
Uh-huh.
yes, the unglazed stuff, it's
Uh-huh.
called bisque.
Okay. And you make it?
I make some of it, so I make as much as I can with the time that I have, and then all the other stuff I can purchase from suppliers and stuff like that. So,
Right. Now that you mentioned that Southwest, I think I've seen like a terracotta
mhm.
without, is that glazed or is that a bisque that is colored like that? You know what
A
asking.
terracotta,
like an orangey,
right?
Mhm.
colored.
Right.
But it seems like it has that same look as those have.
Okay, yeah,
You
there's
know what I'm
different kinds of, it's just slip, what they call slip is the clay that you
Uh-huh.
put in it,
Uh-huh.
and it's just basically watered down clay.
And so you could put any color.
You could put any kind of clay you
Hmm.
wanted into it. It's just getting into that consistency that you could pour it in the mold and
Oh, okay.
pour it back out.
Okay.
So you could use any kind of clay. We're just using the earthenware clay, which is a low fire clay.
Uh-huh.
It's just more cost effective.
Mm-hmm.
We can get porcelain, we can pour them out of porcelain
Mm-hmm.
and make them really durable, but people don't want to pay for that. You know what I mean? They're
Right.
just going in to have fun and make something decorative for the house. So
Mm-hmm.
they want cost effectiveness, so we can get people in there for $12 to $15 and they can come in.
Oh,
That's an
yeah.
average.
That's a really affordable
Yeah.
way to, that makes it nice. So, it sounds like you host people, or do you host events, or
We
tell
host
us,
events, yeah.
okay, tell us
So-
about your store. First of all,
Okay.
before you start, Missing Bristle,
Yeah.
that's an interesting name. Tell us
Yeah.
about that.
Well, you got the Marlowe brothers,
Okay,
you know, the reason why Marlowe is what it is. And then you got Brothers Coffee Shop.
right.
And he told me he did that because of the Marlowe brothers. So I thought that was a really neat idea. I want to see if I can come up with something with maybe using M and B. And
Right.
well, Missing Bristle
Missing.
just came to my head, and that's what we use.
Well, it's a great name. It's very unique. I like it.
And
Yeah.
I wanted something that wouldn't just focus me on one area of art to where I could use the studio for anything.
Smart,
Very catchy.
smart,
So,
very catchy indeed. And kind of forward thinking too,
yeah,
as far as, you're able to expand your,
yeah. Well, it's
in the
not
future.
Not my
you know.
first business. I've had a few businesses, so.
Oh, okay. So our guest last week, she makes jewelry, and she was talking about like a group, was it a Facebook group or so? Oh yeah, a Facebook group or something, but they're like other jewelry makers or artisans, and there's a lot of advice on how to do
Right.
your art business, how to market, how to,
Yeah.
all these things. Do you have a group or
Oh, yeah.
support like that
Yeah,
as
there's all
well?
kinds of them. So like a lot of the companies, like the clay companies and the glaze companies,
Mhm.
like Mako or Duncan or Laguna's a big clay company. They have their own little groups, Facebook groups, and people will go in there. What combinations did you use? And, they share
Oh,
ideas back and forth like that. Or if you have trouble, like I said, with the glaze not fitting right, if it's
Mhm.
cracking on you real bad and stuff like that, they'll ask, well, try a different kind of clay with that glaze.
Don't you think that's so
Oh, yeah,
awesome?
yeah. that's
That, I mean, you're just access to so much
Yeah.
helpful information, and that it can be grouped to where you don't have to sort through,
Yeah.
but it's pottery
Yeah.
or like jewelry or, whatever that that kind of a group can be brought together from
Yeah.
all over the world,
Yep. Well, I've tried to, and I've been in touch with Lou Baggett, Lou.
Oh, yeah, I know, Lou.
She's,
She made a coffee mug and gave it to me.
yeah, she's,
I drink out of that regularly.
she's helped me a lot with some of my stuff, with bouncing ideas off of her, or when my kiln broke and I had 30 Christmas trees that I needed to fire. She let me borrow one of her kilns to get the stuff fired. And so I'm trying to get that kind of Facebook group thing going in real life around here with other putters. And
there
stuff like
there
that,
are
so.
a lot of artisans in this area.
Yep.
I mean, I always get so excited when I talk to someone, because I'm like, right here in Stevens County, we are just loaded
Yeah.
with people who have so much artistic skill and talent. It's awesome.
Yep. So eventually I hope to have, maybe whenever I have time,
Right.
but eventually I'd like to get some kind of little, maybe pottery fair type thing going together. So all the potters could come and just put their stuff out for people to
Mhm.
see, and then have some out there throwing so people could watch.
Well, we have a pretty nice venue here
Oh, I know.
that we would probably enjoy hosting an event like that for you, where you
Alright.
could really have a lot of people. That'd be fun.
It would.
That'd be very fun.
Like we had our birthday party.
I
On
think you were
November
having
6th,
you were
whatever.
having your birthday party
Yep.
when we had Raining in the Arts.
Yep. And I actually borrowed Lou's pottery wheels. She's got a few pottery wheels, and so I borrowed them for my birthday party, and we had people could come in and buy a $5 lump of clay and let me teach them how to throw something real quick, which I just sit down
Wow.
there and kind of held their hands and
Yeah,
showed them how to do it.
yeah,
Not like a class or anything, just something fun
right.
while they was sipping on some wine.
Yeah, what a fun idea.
It was
Okay,
neat.
so Missing Bristle Studio.
Okay.
If I want to go there, tell me what kind of things I'm going to find when I walk in.
Lots of Christmas stuff, especially right now. So lots of Santas, lots of mugs, lots of Christmas ornaments, and I'm thinking about doing some kind of Christmas ornament painting thing, maybe next weekend or something.
Mm.
But it's kind of late.
Be watching
Yeah.
Missing Bristle Studio Facebook page, I bet, for any information about that.
Yep. But you can come in anytime and just walk in and sit down and paint. I mean, you don't have to have
Really?
an appointment or anything like that. You can just come in and sit down and paint. But if you want to have a big group, like 15 people or something like that, like my dentist are having a party tomorrow morning at the shop. So
Mhm.
they have 15 people coming. So I'm letting them rent the studio,
Right.
just closing it off to the public for a couple hours and letting them have their
Get
private
together
time.
and they're gonna do some,
They're gonna do some mugs, some little Santa mugs and reindeer mugs and some snowflake ornaments.
Mhm.
Just their little Christmas party.
Right.
And we have
That's
teachers,
fun.
yeah, we have teachers come out every so often, have a little teacher group, time. They're welcome to bring snacks and drinks, if they want to. We have a little bar area set up in the back that they can put a little food spread out there if they want to.
Right.
We do lots of kids' birthday parties. So if you want to rent, we have a back room that'll hold about 15 kids with a couple adults. You can rent for $25, rent the room, just have your own little room to come in and paint and decorate for a party.
Wow, that is a very reasonable price
So,
for renting for a kid's birthday.
yeah.
That's
And-
super nice.
And then there's no other cost besides just painting or paying for your pottery stuff, which is, like I said, it averages about $15 a person. So.
Mhm.
if-
And so if I came in there tomorrow and chose one of the bisque things and
Mhm,
wanted it to end up looking like that,
mhm.
how long would it be before it was finished?
About a week. It takes me about a week. So I kind of let the products build up on the shelf until I have enough to fill up the kiln, and then throw it in the kiln and fire it. And, that takes a day or two
Right.
to get it turned around. So,
Right. But this doesn't require that first baking.
no, it's already done. So it's
That the
just waiting
clay-
on this. So it's just
Mhm.
one more firing.
Mhm.
So as long as I get enough by the next Monday or Tuesday, then I'll fire it. I usually fire on Wednesdays,
Mm.
Tuesday or Wednesday,
Mhm.
and then they'll be ready by Wednesday or Thursday.
So does it, I mean, I understand you're doing it, so you don't have to just onesies, twosies, but
Mhm.
do things bake differently depending on how much is in there?
Not really. I mean, the kiln's gonna get to that temperature no matter how much is in there. So
Right. I'm trying to decide if it's
It
like a
takes longer.
convection oven or a conventional
No.
oven. It
No.
sounds like things are evenly distributed,
Yeah,
like
it
if
is.
you put a bunch of stuff in a regular oven,
Now,
it doesn't always bake
Yeah.
the same. So I was just
yeah,
kind of
it
curious
does-
about that.
It's gonna get to temperature. The only thing that really affects it, if there's a lot in there, is it takes it a little bit longer to cool off.
Oh, right.
So the
Right.
radiant heat,
It
it just
keeps,
takes longer.
right, holds the heat in there
Yeah.
for a while. Yeah,
So-
that would make sense. Yeah.
That's the only thing that really does. And then for the bisque load, you can just, like, for the glaze, you can't have anything touching anything. It's all
Mhm.
gotta be spaced out, and so you can't put as much in there. But for the bisque fire with the raw clay, you can load it up as much as you want. I mean, you can stack stuff on top of each other and put it
Really?
inside of each other. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's not gonna stick. So,
That is
Yeah.
interesting.
and then
Whenever,
sometimes it take a couple of days to cool.
before
off.
you glaze it,
Yeah, before it's glazed.
because you were saying earlier how the glaze might make it stick.
Right.
But whenever it's just the raw clay, you can just stack them in there. Wow. So for I mean, if you were wanting to produce a lot of those place settings or something,
Mhm.
that gives you the ability to fire
Yeah.
a lot of it.
And
Because I was thinking, man, that seems like it would take a long time
No.
to make a lot of place settings for people, but that frees you up to
Yep.
be able to do it.
Mhm.
Yep, and I just got a bigger kiln, so I can do more stuff in the kiln, so it holds like twice as much as my original kiln.
So give us an idea. The original kiln would hold how many mugs?
The original kiln may hold 15 to 20 mugs.
So you could do
Yeah.
30 to 40.
Oh, you can about 60.
Oh,
Ooh.
oh,
Yeah, they're bigger
nice.
than that.
Yeah, that's gonna really
Yeah.
help with place settings and
Yeah,
things
so
like
the-
that.
So the Christmas tree is the main thing, so I could do one big Christmas tree in the kiln I have right now. That's it.
Does it have removable shelves or
Yeah,
something?
yeah,
Oh,
it has
okay.
removable shelves, but just one big tree is all you can do.
Yeah,
And on the big one, I can do a big tree, 3 medium trees, and a couple small trees, and then all the little bases decked around it. So,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, you've really,
yeah, it-
you really stepped up the game
Yeah.
on that one.
so it was nice, and it's made customers happier because they get their stuff sooner. So,
Right.
but I do have some customers that haven't picked it up since about December last year.
Hint, hint. I see that, y'all. Go get your stuff.
Yeah.
That's
But,
funny.
yeah.
So,
But it's a lot of fun.
and so, the bisque part, do people come in and have parties with this too?
For this stuff, no. For the
Okay.
stoneware stuff, I don't have the wheels for that yet,
Yeah,
which eventually I would like to have 4 or 5 wheels so that we could actually have pottery
an
classes,
event like that, right?
or just actually have classes.
A class,
Yeah.
yeah.
Kind of
I-
like Cedar Cove used to do.
Yes.
Something similar to that. you know.
Yes,
But I also want to have little date nights where you could come in and have some wine and sit down at the wheel and
very
just
fun.
get dirty.
Yeah,
So,
maybe do like a ghost.
yeah.
I'm
Maybe.
just kidding, just kidding, y'all, just kidding, although it was kind of funny to think about. Okay, so, like, what's your favorite part? What is your favorite part about your business?
The variety. Just always doing something new.
Mm-hmm.
So I can play with the 3D printer. I can sit down with Adobe Illustrator and design some stuff, or I can use my Dremel to clean up the little holes in the trees, or
Right.
just play with
Always.
electricity, or go up there and pour stuff, or sit down at the wheel. I mean, there's just so many different things.
Oh,
Or
my
make,
goodness.
Use my welder and cutting torch to make some new tools or stamps, or,
Isn't it awesome to
Just
look
everything.
back and see your education, your interest in art, your
jobs.
jobs you've had, these skills? I mean, not everyone knows how to weld. You've obviously done some welding and
Mhm.
all these things, and how now it all comes together and you're
Yep.
kind of able to live the dream here.
Yep.
That is
Wow.
so cool, Josh.
My wife always told me that my hobby was having hobbies. So, so I've done it all, leather working and wood carving, and
Well, look how the leatherworking is
Yep.
helping you with this
I love it.
cool line of pottery that you're
Yep.
making. I mean,
Yep.
that is just,
hope it works.
so are you like we had a guy who creates art with leather
Yeah.
tool. I mean, super cool.
Yeah.
I mean, he even made like things that you would but you put ink on it and press it, and make prints.
Oh, yeah.
He did that with leather and
Okay.
created the
Little mono prints and
yeah,
stuff.
he did a lot of cool things. Jim Weaver. Anyway, but all of his little tools and all the things he
Yeah.
did, he kind of did a demonstration, and it was just, I think that would, I would get lost on my clay,
Yeah.
just because on the clay, unlike on the tools, the leather's unforgiving. Once you make a mark on it, it's there.
That's
But
even more so with the clay.
is it really?
Yeah.
I would have thought you could
I
smooth it
mean, you may be
out.
able to smooth it a little bit, but see, like the leather, it's gonna be laying down flat, and you can do all your tooling, and then you make something out of it.
Right.
Whereas the clay, you've got to make the mug the shape you want it,
Ah.
and then you got to go in there and do your stamping and tooling while it's still soft, where you got to take the chance to store it in the mug.
Uh-huh, yeah,
that stuff.
applying too much pressure
Mhm.
here or there. Wow, that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
I'm sure that was a little trial and error.
Yeah, a little bit.
Think you're-
The mug looks very organic.
Yeah, you can kind of hold it however you want, drink out of the
Yeah.
side to the
Yeah.
side.
Just find my handprint in it, and that's where you hold it.
That's funny. Well, I'm loving just thinking about how all those things just kind of
Yep.
brought you to where you are today, and business experience, even running your own business. So do you do a lot of promoting, marketing?
We promote mainly on Facebook and Instagram, but
Yeah.
we're tied in a lot with the Marlowe merchants and stuff like that,
Mhm.
trying to get a kind of a Main Street Marlowe thing going on.
Yeah, Yeah, that's good. Duncan has one of those. I
Right.
think it kind of, it's a
Mhm.
good kind of little association
Yeah.
kind of thing to have.
Yeah.
That'd be, yeah, that's
And
great.
then tying in with the art guild over there, trying to get in with them and just to know the people and
Chisholm Trail Arts Council, they're such a great
Yeah, they are.
organization.
Yeah.
Lots of talent. We do a lot of things with them,
Right.
and yeah, they have a lot of great well, benefits for local artists.
Mhm.
They have a nice place for you to show your art,
Yep.
and they're always having gatherings and things, and
Yep.
so that, yeah,
Mhm.
they're really great. So where is Missing Bristle Studio located?
And it's on Main Street, just across the street from Giuseppe's.
Oh, that's a good spot.
Yep.
That's a real good
Yeah,
spot to
but I
be.
get a lot of Giuseppe's people coming
Uh-huh.
to park in front.
Gonna have to get a sign, Missing Bristle parking
No,
only.
it's fine. I'll wave at them.
So what are your hours?
Wednesday through Friday, it's 10 to 6.
Mhm.
And then there's a sign that I put on the door when I gotta go pick up my daughter from school, stuff like
Right,
that.
right.
But, and then on Saturdays, it's 1 to 7. So,
Okay,
and right now I've started helping somebody do some drafting, another company do some drafting with them a couple days a week. So sometimes Wednesdays are a little hit and miss. So,
right. So if people wanted to make sure that you were there, like if they were,
just check on Facebook or drive by and see if I got a sign on the door. But
Okay.
Most of the time.
or
no.
call,
Yeah.
I
or
mean, is
call.
calling
Yeah.
a good thing to do
Yeah,
too?
call anytime.
Okay, all right, that's good information to know.
And we do custom mugs, which I've got a bunch of orders
Well,
right now for custom mugs.
And
so.
it sounds like you've really gotten in with some of the local merchants
Yeah,
who,
I did some for
sell-
Viridian, and then I actually made one for Jitters here in Duncan. I
Mhm.
made them a mug, and I just haven't had time to go talk to them about it yet. And then I've made a couple dozen for Kokendorf out there, the brewery.
Mhm,
And I made some mugs for Brothers Coffee Shop there in Marlow.
right,
And then some custom stuff. My wife's military, so I've got a lot of military guys that have ordered some mugs with their rank on it and stuff like
right.
that.
Oh, that's cool. That's a really cool idea.
So just
These are some
anything.
great gift ideas,
Mhm.
people. Really good gift ideas.
And lots of bowls. I started making, I don't know if you've ever seen a French butter crock.
Describe it.
Okay, so a butter bell, you ever heard of a butter
Mhm,
bell?
mhm.
So it's just the upside down. You got two bowls,
Mhm.
one you put the butter in, the other you put water in, you put it in, seals it up. So I started making some of those. But they weren't selling because I went through to a couple craft fairs and they weren't selling, because
Right.
I'd make the butter bell and then I'd make a little salt and pepper dish, where you just grab the salt and throw it in while you're
Oh,
cooking.
yeah, the little
Mhm.
pinch, yeah.
Yeah, little
Mhm.
pinch pots or whatever. And they weren't selling. So me and my daughter, after the last craft show, stopped by Hobby Lobby and got a bunch of wax and poured a bunch of candles out of those little wheels that we we made. So we've got candles too.
That's a cool idea. I'm telling you, this guy is resourceful.
Well,
Mhm.
It's just fun. There's so many things you can do. And I think it aggravates my wife a little bit that just stick with one thing. No, I can't.
Yeah.
I got to try it all.
Right. Well, I mean, I think it's okay because you're not going to just make a mug and say, wow, I'm really good at making mugs. If they don't look good, you're not going to continue on that.
No.
I mean, you'll work at it for a while, but it's
Mhm.
for you to have just started making pottery and be so skilled at it already.
Mhm.
I feel like that is something that was in you. And I mean,
Mhm.
how that
Yeah.
ever stayed down all those years, for you to finally be able to do this.
Yeah.
It just seems like this is the thing that you were supposed to be doing.
Yeah, well, me and my wife finally got into a place in our life to where I could pursue it a little bit better,
Mhm.
So I could step back from having to make the money all the time and step back a little bit and just explore. So,
Right, right.
it's
So,
nice.
but I mean, you have a business and
Yeah.
customers and a lot of, you're diversified enough to be able to make money.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's great because there are a lot of artists that
No, I know.
really struggle and
Yep.
and aren't
that's-
able to be
That's
like that.
another thing too, I wanted to mention while I was here. I'm glad you mentioned that. But we have a big long wall along one side that I don't have any shelves on or anything like that, that we allow artists to come display their paintings and stuff like that if they want to sell or just
Right,
to help get their name out there. So,
right.
which we're just a couple doors down from Jolene's Art Den. So we trade paintings back and forth eventually.
Little art walk thing down
Yeah.
Main Street, Marlowe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you guys know an artist who's just waiting to have a place to put their pieces,
Yep.
give Josh a call or
Yeah.
walk down there. That's great. I love
And
it that
even-
you're doing
Even
that.
Giuseppe's will let artists display their work over there in the
Like
restaurant. So,
yeah, that's awesome. Marlowe's a great community and I love it that,
mhm.
you guys we're able to work together. Your main street is cute, the shop
Yeah.
fronts, the
Mhm.
storefronts, they look good and, it's eye catching and I think that just everybody working together just makes all that, better for just,
Yeah.
for all the people who shop or eat or whatever they do over there in Marlowe. There's always something to do over there. So, so what's kind of the next big thing? What are you thinking?
I don't know. I was thinking about starting to do some more art shows, craft
Mm,
shows and stuff
mhm.
like that. So like the Norman Art Walk that they have once a month,
Mhm.
I was thinking about joining that little deal once a month or every couple months, just depending on if I can get my stock built up, because that was the main thing this holiday season. We decided that I was going to start doing some craft shows or fairs, but I didn't have any stock really built up. So it was a lot of late nights trying to just throw 40 mugs and throw 40 bowls and just to have a couple hundred items to set out at the fair. And
Yeah, because nobody stops at a booth that doesn't have,
just a couple
Yeah,
of days. Yeah.
yeah.
So
unless you put a sign up that says almost sold out.
that's a good idea. Might use it.
Yeah. Oh, but does your daughter like art? Is she interested in things like
Well,
this?
I have a 17-year-old. She's a
Mhm.
singer and she's won
Mm.
vocal state all 6 years that she's done it.
Oh, my goodness.
And then I have a son that's more in the smart side of it, the scientific side of
Mhm.
things.
Yeah, he'll be developing some new
Oh,
glaze for
yeah.
you or
Oh, yeah.
something.
Yeah, and then I have a 13-year-old that she is kind of like me. She's just trying a little bit of all of it,
Mhm.
a little bit of all of it. But I've got her into the clay, and she's like for our birthday party, she was sitting there centering the clay for the customers that came in, and I was like, "That's your job," and she was like, "Oh no." But she has fun with it. And then my 7-year-old thinks that she can do it all. So she just runs around and tells everybody how to do everything.
Right,
So,
right. That's a typical baby of the family
Yeah,
right there.
yeah, she knows how to do everything. So she tells people, no, you need to put more paint on there, or.
And she's probably right.
Yeah, probably.
She probably is. Well, Josh, it has been so nice to meet
You
you.
too.
I am very excited for Missing Bristle and your future, and just so thrilled that you're here in this community, just doing great things and introducing people to art.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I love it because
That was
so
the
many
main thing.
kids don't get a chance to be exposed to art.
No, it's not. And that was that was part of my business plan, was to get more families. And so I was substitute teaching in Marlowe for a little while and telling all the
Mhm.
kids about it. But then it became fun to substitute
Right.
teach. But
Right.
then I got too busy at work, so I had to stop substitute teaching. And so,
Yeah, yeah.
but it was a lot of fun. And that's one of my main things, is trying to get my kids into the arts more. So
Mhm. And
it's hard.
it
Mhm.
is. And, because the first thing they take away from school, we'd say this a lot around here, when they run low on money,
Yeah.
art is the first thing to go.
Yep.
And I mean, I get it. Academics are important, but the art stimulates that other side of the brain, and
One of the
it's all.
hardest, see, my grammar is perfect, guys. One of the hardest things for kids is to develop that critical thinking,
Mhm.
which comes from being involved in the arts.
Right.
And one of my kids, and not just my kid, but I've noticed a lot of parents say this, they're having trouble getting those better grades on their SATs and ACTs because they can't quite get over that hump on the critical thinking part of stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
My daughter tutors kids for the ACT,
mhm,
and it's her basically talking through and trying to get kids to think about it from a
Yep.
different angle. Yeah, that's one of the things that she talks about.
yeah, and that's one of the things my dad and mom just taught me at a young age was they always asked me questions. I asked them how to do something. I said, well, how do you think you should do it? And so
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't get any slack.
Well, I think you turned out all
Yeah,
right.
I think so too.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I
been
hope
fun.
you enjoyed this as much as I did. We'll have to do a follow-up here in a year or so and see what Missing Bristle is doing next.
Sounds good.
Yeah, this was great. So anyway, thanks for watching today, and tune in next week. We're going to do some Christmas snacks around here.
All right.
Yeah, we're going to be eating.
I'll come back and help.
Yeah, come on back and help. So you guys check out Missing Bristle. We'll put their contact information in this Facebook feed on the comment section. And if you have any questions or anything, put it in our comments or go to Missing Bristle Studio Facebook page and ask Josh. I'm sure he'd be glad to help you. And when we sign off, we say happy trails.
All right.
You ready?
Ready.
Okay. Happy trails.